Today we're going to talk about creativity, the ability to transcend traditional ideas, rules, patterns, relationships, or the like, and to create meaningful new ideas, forms, methods, interpretations, etc. Well, at least according to dictionary.com. I have a little test right now to see if you are creative or not. Were you ever a child? Toy inventors Gersh and Gersh say, we all went off to kindergarten with a magical box of color crayons and graduate from high school with a disposable ballpoint pen. Pablo Picasso says, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist when you grow up. These are some pictures of the electrical activity in the brain. So brain waves. The beta waves, your brain is aroused and actively engaged in mental activities. Hopefully you're doing that right now. The alpha state, you've completed a task and you sit down to rest. You can reflect or meditate a little bit. In the theta state, you've taken time off from a task and begin to daydream. And in the delta state, you're asleep. So the theta state is where a lot of creative ideas happen. Children spend a lot of time in the theta state, and adults not so much. There's a story about Einstein would sit on a chair and hold keys in his hand, and he'd relax and kind of daydream and start thinking. And when he dropped those keys, it would startle him a little bit, and he'd wake up, and that's when he knew he was in his theta state, and he could create and come up with ideas at that point. So becoming creative can mean keeping your inner child alive. So be willing to generate lots of ideas. Don't get stuck on like one idea and think that's it. Be curious. Be open-minded. Don't be serious all the time. Be ready to play with your ideas. Keep your eyes open. Look for connections and possibilities. Use metaphors. Ask like, what if this were that way? You know how 2-year-olds are always asking like, what or why? So kind of think about kind of doing that. Kind of be curious about the world. I like this cartoon. They say kindergartners laugh on the average 300 times a day. Adults only laugh 17 times a day. So what exactly is missing from our day? 283 fart jokes. Advertising tycoon David Ogilvy says the best ideas come as jokes, so make your thinking as funny as possible. Again, have fun with your ideas. Author Terry Pratchett says, I'll be more enthusiastic about encouraging thinking outside the box when there's evidence of any thinking going on inside of it. So some tips for fueling creativity. Standing on your head, changing your perspective, knowing your market, and keeping an idea file or inspiration file. We're going to talk a little bit more about each of these coming up. So for standing on your head, yoga and qigong can help you clear your head to come up with creative ideas. Singing, yelling, walking, music, dancing. Maybe you can think of some other things that help you be creative or ways that you clear your mind. Video games can be it if you remember to turn them back off and come back to work. Changing your perspective. So maybe instead of staring at your computer screen waiting for an idea, you might take a sketchbook outside. Even if you can't draw, nobody needs to see your sketchbook. Maybe go to an art museum. Maybe go to a bookstore, find art books, magazines, and go to a toy store. Again, play. I like this cartoon because it's so classic, it's so true that we could doodle and draw and everything, but when we're under pressure, now you can draw as much as you want, you can't think of anything. So the idea file. The idea file is a book, a box, a drawer. It's kind of nice to have a physical idea file. You can do one online and Pinterest. A lot of people use Pinterest kind of as an idea file, but it's kind of nice to touch things. So you can pick up interesting design examples wherever you go. You could use brochures, business cards, pick them up. pick up ads and flyers. One of my favorite things to pick up is like the paint chips from the hardware store. Because you can get different color schemes and color ideas, and I really like the color names. I don't know who gets to sit around and look for color names, but look at Pillow Fight up on the top, or Baby Lotion, or Warm Apricot, Dancing Butterfly. I think it's fun just to look at color names. So, some simple stretch exercisers, and these stretch exercisers come from a book called Fanning the Creative Spirit by toy makers Maria and Charlie Gersh. Try using your non-dominant hand to eat. Daydream. Doodle during phone calls or meetings. Work puzzles in the daily newspaper. Make up paint names for the colors you see. Remember we saw Pillow Fight as a color. So maybe look around at your walls and think of different names for your colors. Don't take coffee breaks, take recess. Learn to juggle, paint by number, just learn a silly skill or magic trick. And if anything's bothering you, get a Spider-Man Band-Aid. Don't buy your Band-Aids in the adult section, go back to that kids section to get them. Jim Krause, who wrote the book Design Basics Index, says fill your creative reservoir by training your eyes to see and your brain to absorb. Everything we allow to come into our conscious and unconscious mind can be useful as creative fuel for all kinds of expression. So really keeping your eye out, again like that 2-year-old, your eyes are wide, you're looking at the world around you. Everyday things that absolutely anybody can do to stimulate creativity. Dream dreams, daydream, be open and prepared, be willing to try new and different things, find quiet time, be willing to make mistakes. Sometimes you gotta try something, and even if it doesn't go right, you can try again. Or sometimes there's some real gems in mistakes. Share the dream and let go and trust. So enjoy continuing on your creative journey.